questions, and I'm going to let Dr. Kirby kind of explain what's going on behind the scenes with what's going on with me. So, Dr. Kirby. So again, I call this concert Opus 1 because it's the beginning of something. It's the beginning of getting this instrument up and going. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes to create something like that. There's a Kim Daniels who, I just drew this body out on a piece of paper, and Kim Daniels carved it and built it and made it a real instrument. I don't know if Daniel Pasabanto is still here, but he was here early tonight, and when he got this beautiful piece of wood and everything, he commenced to drilling all of these holes. We had to almost do artistic violence, you know, to drill all of these holes and bring it together, and there's a bunch of circuit boards making this happen, so it's a bunch of people behind the scenes. Now, I'm on a journey to the melody. A lot of people ask, why did I do the drummaton in the first person? And it's really, I'm learning to use my fingers melodically, to move them around. But as I move them around, with the help of Dr. Kirby, we can change the tunings of the chromatic scales to different mathematics. This gets into sacred geometry now. And we're going to let you hear. Doc, you got a mic. Okay, Doc is going to tell you where we are tuning-wise.
We're in decaphonic 5. So there, that's where we are.
Yeah.
So I'll start at the middle. Usually we're used to tuning that sounds something like this.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
So let's assume, my apologies to anybody that has perfect pitch, we're going to call this A440. But actually, let me play A440. Right? And then if you multiply it by 2, you get an octave. Got it?
Pythagoras.
And so Roy and I went to visit a very interesting guy about 20 years ago.
Used to live here.
Used to live in Waynesville. And he lived near the Biodome. Does anybody know where the Biodome is? No? Okay. Even better. So Roy wanted to figure out a new kind of pattern for his one of his instruments.
Yeah.
And Roy said, hey, let's drive up there and see if we can find Dan Winter. He's like a guru of sacred geometry. And I went, okay. I didn't know what sacred geometry was, so we drove up, and here's this biodome. I'm not sure what it did, but I guess they grew stuff inside it, I guess. Anyway, they knew we were coming. We drove up, and we were interrogated for an hour before we were allowed to be driven up to the top of the mountain to meet this guru. And he started talking about the sound of hydrogen, the sound of carbon, and the sacred ratio, phi. You know, the golden ratio, the golden rectangle, the golden
Rule.
the golden. Anyway, so golden proportion. And so it's a ratio of 1 to 1.618, and the numbers go on and on and on and on as an irrational number.
If I could interject really quick, mathematics goes like this. If you imagine a holy cross, where the cross crosses is not at the top, it's not in the middle. If you're just holding up a stick, where the cross is right in this sweet spot where it's just about right, and you can feel where it is. And when it's in the right place, there'll be a short section at the top of the cross and a long section at the bottom. That is the golden section. That's a way to feel it, without the numbers. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, we feeling this thing.
So in order to get equal temperament, they call it, where each note, hold on, let me get a better sound. Let me try. My piano's good. Oh, you know what? I know what's going on.
What?
There it is.
Okay.
Here's my-
What's cool about this, Doc might not say this, but he created software that could take any mathematical ratios and give you a pitch. I mean, this is like, it's pretty cool. From meeting Dan Winters, he figured out a way to let instruments be able to get to these pitches. So go ahead, Doc. I mean, this is think different kind of stuff.
So this is why I didn't see my children and my wife as they were growing up, and I mean, my wife was already grown up, but you know what I mean. I was sitting in my laboratory, like, this has taken me years, 25 years to evolve this. And it's, by the way, it's called the Phi Music Microtone Brainwave Generator. And if we have a little bit of time later, I will show you about my brainwave generator and generate some difference frequencies that if you had headphones on would actually alter your the waveforms in your brain to theta or alpha or different brain states. So we might do that, and then we'll do some Phi rhythms together.
Yes.
Maybe if you'll want.
Hey, it's the mentor right here. So.
All right. Anyway, so we drove back, and I said, Roy, would it be cool to listen to the sound of hydrogen? And then I'm going to figure out how to do that. And so I called some of my physicist friends. One of my buddies at Oak Ridge National Lab said, oh yeah, all you do is you get the X-ray atomic tables from periodic table from the CRC handbook for chemists and physicists, and you make sure it's in electron volts times seconds and divided by Planck's constant. Oh, yeah, right. I had no idea what he was talking about. But that's what I did. So I laid out the entire periodic table. I started with carbon and hydrogen, and then I thought, I might as well go for gold. And so I laid the whole thing out. I wrote a little program to take liberties because, you know, sound waves are compressional. They're compression waves. And light waves and radio waves go back and forth. They would go back and forth. So I took the liberty of doing some poetic massaging. So anyway, then we talked about Phi, and I thought, you know, Phi is just a number. I almost
618.
Yeah, I almost went to pi. We don't want to go to pi yet. And so I thought, you know, what if I used Phi as like an interval, like an octave, I think is what I did. So it's a quasi-octave. So it's not exact.
Short, long, like the Holy Cross, short, long.
So we're gonna, instead of having a 2-to-1 ratio, we'll have a 1.618 ratio to 1 instead of 2 to 1. And make a scale out of it. Let me see if I can find one. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll play a pentatonic Phi. So what I did was, we have a regular tuning. Oh, I'm already in that tuning. Well, let's just go with it. So here's what I did. Here's a 5-note scale, as opposed to 12 notes in an octave. All right? It would be like that. So this is a Phi interval that I'm equating it. I'm saying that's my new octave, is Phi. And then I'll divide it up like a regular keyboard. And so then you get this. Let's see which one this is that. Oh, this is the, so this would be 5 notes. This is the octave. It's more like a fifth. Do, mi, so. But you can see it's not quite. And so now we're in a different kind of tuning. And I did it just to explore.
Play a little bit more. Let me hear the whole scale going up and down.
Well, this is what we would call chromatic on a regular piano. A little different.
Yeah, and when he gives it to me, pentatonic. A lot of blues. Sweet sour.
Yeah, it is. It's you have to be judicious, especially for new ears, right? And we did an album together years ago from a live concert in Connecticut, and a lot of these tunings I created for Roy's keyboard instrument called the Royale, and it looks like a grand piano, but it has a special. I don't know what you'd call them, special kinds of sensors for his fingers, and it's,
That's what I was playing to earlier. The piano stuff, kind of banjo-like. It was off of my keyboard. I was accompanying myself.
and so this is the atomic table, or the table of the elements. If you want to play something, let's see what it is.
Well, play the scale. Just hear. What I like about this, the aha for me was like the chromatic scale was always neutral before. On the piano, that's all the notes. But after working with these tunings, we're getting chromaticism that's different than the chromatic scale on the piano. And I remember saying the chromatic scale now to me has like a candy apple red kind of sound. It was like the chromaticism is a mode too. It's a choice that people have made to get all of the notes. And if we went on another planet, one of the first things I want to do is hear their music. How have they arranged their music? So I just want to, Doc, can you just go up the periodic table as pitches? Just kind of go up C sharp, D.
Well, let's see if I can find that. Let me go up and see if I can find hydrogen. There's hydrogen. There should be carbon there. And so in there are. And so what Roy did was, when we did the concert, he picked and chose which notes were most harmonious, and some notes that rub together, as he said.
They have natural vibrato.
And as an ensemble, we created what I thought was really beautiful music X, something like that.
Yeah, and what I like about it is a lot of times you'll have musicians, I remember like Sun Ra and different people, and they're trying to be out. Here, the notes are already out. All I'm doing is just trying to be in. I'm not trying to be out right now. So I'm just here pecking around. Yeah. It's a playground.
So it occurred to me I should mention, and some of you may know this scale that we have on our pianos, that's kind of recent. That wasn't how they tuned pianos, or harpsichords, or clavichord. That's not how it was done. They didn't know how to graduate the, it's an exact same ratio between each note on a piano. And that way you can play a major chord anywhere on the keyboard. They all sound the same. It didn't used to be like that. It used to be, when Bach was writing pieces, he would choose his notes judiciously, just like we do, to get the notes that sounded right for that particular tuning. Because this may sound strange, But if you try to play some of that Bach on a contemporary keyboard, it may sound right to you, but back then it would have sounded completely out of tune. So, just a thought that this isn't really all that new. If you go to Cairo, you go anywhere in the Middle East and other places, this is not unusual tuning, right? If you listen to Balinese music, if you listen to gamelan, and you listen to the, over in the middle, Japan, China, they'll play notes that are in between the cracks. So this is just our way of investigating other kinds of sonorities that might be expressive. So we're not just being gearheads and being scientists, we're trying to find a way to express things in new ways. And that's sort of where we're coming from. So Bob, go ahead.
What I like about this as an artist, Futureman, I'm always looking for this key in storytelling. And when I see movies telling stories in the future, they always know to go to a professor and they create the language. Like Avatar, they're not just making up blips and blops, or in Star Wars, the Ewoks are not just going squeak and squawk. Somebody made that language. They thought about the language. But when it comes to music, nobody's thinking. You know what I mean? Nobody's really thinking about, if you go to another planet, Avatar, well, whatever that planet was, what scales and tunings would they be dealing with? You see what I'm saying? It's like, whoa, man. So it's like, for me, it's like, this is storytelling. You know, where we hear a soundtrack with notes that you're not used to. Man, you're going to be on another planet. And what have they arrived at that's going to tell them something about their understanding? So one of the things I always want to do is I want to rescore Close Encounters with this ship doing do-do-do-do-do. Because I guarantee you, when the mothership's hitting tones, they're not all going to be diatonic. It's just not going to be. See, you're going to hear some phi ratios and stuff. So anyway, Doc, just to give them a feeling of these notes, can you do like earth harmonics? Or Schumann resonance? You already did it, so we already in resonance.
So,
right?
Most of you probably know Bob Moog, the inventor of the Moog synthesizer, right? So we were really close friends for many decades, since the early 70s. And when he died, I thought I would create a sculpture. There was an outdoor sculpture exhibit for a couple of years down by the river, French part of the river. And so I designed this installation which involved some brain waves that were based on root frequency of the Schumann resonance, which is the resonance of the Earth that's ever changing. That day, NASA said it was, I think, 7.78 hertz. That's really low. You can't hear that. It's just sort of a rumble. So it's sort of Earth groaning. So I thought, I'm going to build some sonorities based on the resonance of the Earth, and turn them, take the pitches that came out of this series of overtones, and create difference frequencies of about 7 hertz, which would cause people, if they sit there long enough, to start their two hemispheres to start resonating at the same frequency and in sync. Maybe some of you know about Robert Monroe's Institute. If you don't, it's about affecting brain waves. Who knows about? Anybody here? I can't see anybody. I see a hand and a half.
Turn the lights up.
1.5 hands. Is there anybody here? Yeah, there we go. So anyway, so what I did was I decided to create I guess you call it a scale of all the overtones within the audible spectrum of the Earth. And it's simple to do. You take a frequency, say A440, you multiply it by 2. You get 880. But if you take it and multiply it by 3, you get the next overtone. And you keep going forever. And you'll get all the natural overtones. I used to, they were zikkers. Anybody know what a zikker is? Okay.
I don't.
All right. It has to do with Sufism. And it's I guess you could call it an exercise, maybe, something like that. And part of it was thinking about toning a note higher and higher until you couldn't make the sound, but you'd keep imagining you could forever. And so I thought this was something that fit into my remembrance of Bob, was the sound that came from the root of the earth and went into, I wouldn't even say infinity, I'd say eternity. I've been contemplating the difference between those two words.
G and the.
Well, eternity, yeah. Anyway, so it's kind of cool because the notes, these are the overtones. So you can tell them apart, but watch. Can you tell the difference?
Keep going. That's good. That's good.
These are the overtones getting closer and closer and closer together until I'm going higher and higher, higher, higher. You're going up.
Romanticism.
And that's all I have to say. Maybe there's some questions.
Yeah, now this question and answer, and then I don't know if you want to do some of the audience participation rhythm, but we're getting ready to wrap it up. But any question and answers now as we bring this home. Does anybody have any questions? Yes. We'll go here, and then I see one hand back there. Yeah.
I'm curious about the buttons that you're touching.
Yes.
And you've got one that's kind of arranged in a circle, and the others are in lines.
In a row.
Can you talk about?
Yeah. He's asking about the buttons on my instrument. These buttons are piezo's. Underneath this brass here is a piezo crystal. And hey Doc, can you give me the marimba vibe sometime? I'm touching piezo's, and this is Mother Nature. For some reason, when you hit this crystal, it sends out a spark how you hit it. So it's responding to the touch. And so these right here are arranged for kind of for drums. I got a little grid system. That's nice. Where am I? Earth harmonic? Yeah. Right? So anyway, these pads right here are for my drum stuff, but they're arranged in a harmonic array that's going to happen up here. And this is not done yet. But there is it's a chromatic, it's like a piano, but it's the pads are set up more like an accordion in clusters. So this is a cluster set, and these are not strings, they're ridges. So that I can hit the pad and slide like a washboard. So I can slide, and that's what these are set for. The instrument is set up so that wherever I hit here, if I want this note and I want to hit with both my hands, I don't have to come over here. Whatever this note is over here, it's going to be over here too. So I've got mirroring keyboards, right? That's what's going on. That's what, we're at such a baby stage right here. And I didn't want to do this yet, but I said we got to start. When a baby can barely walk, can't use the bathroom, can't do anything, right? But you don't give up, right? And so we're starting at the beginning. I'm just going to let people unfold. I'm hoping the next time I'll be able to come back with a string section so you can hear this. Yes?
Is it only percussive sounds, or can you sustain a sound?
Yeah, I don't have the sustain pedal hooked up right now, but yes, you can do sustain too with the sustain pedal. Right now, these are not made to hold and sustain. They're just touch, and if I do a sustain pedal, I can do it like that. That's what I got so far. So far. Okay? Yes. Question?
Yeah.
Nice and loud.
Have y'all done any research on people who have like very westernized ears versus other cultures on how these scales are affecting their brainwaves? Because you mentioned brainwaves earlier.
I just think that it's a good question about how these scales affect other people. These are kind of new, and I think it's going to lie in the hands of the artist. Like when you get on a piano, all the kinds of music comes off of that. Wherever the artist wants to take you, right? And so like if you get on the piano, music has colors and stuff. Just like when you hit a white light, And if you just think it's a white light, but you shine that light through a prism, whoa, and there's a whole rainbow coming on. Music is like that too. You can hit the scale, and then if you start the scale on this note, it'll have a Dorian, a whole different sound. So we're in a realm here where there is a lot to pull out, and it's going to be the artists that show us what's going on. For me, what I like about it is that music is a universal language. Mathematics is a universal language. But when we deal with it musically, we can deal with it emotionally. See what I'm saying? And aesthetically and artistically. And if you are an artist, you don't have to explain it. You don't even have to explain it. You know? When I hear all these in-between notes, I just go, all the blue notes are there. You know what I mean? When you sing the blues. Now, a secret about these close notes is when we talk. When we talk, we're already there. And when we talk, when we talk, we're always in microtones in a very natural way, and we're not even thinking about it. See what I'm saying? So when I hear these, I hear a way of talking. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to be a newscaster, you got to know how to sing the newscaster song to say what to the news. You can't just come out and say the newsy kind of way. You got to get that newscaster sound. It's got a certain song to it. See what I'm saying? Talking is like that. It has a certain song to it. And to me, these microtones are taking us to these songs. That's how I'm looking at it. And so, long story short, when we met Dan Winters, he was upset with Dr. Kirby. Because Dr. Kirby was bringing down what he calls some of the secrets of the universe. Where he's bringing down these 5 ratios. He's bringing down periodic table. And you can they're way high. You can't hear them. So you bring them down by octaves, or you can bring them down in golden sections in 5 ratios until you hit the audible spectrum. And something special happens to that. And Dan Winters was not too happy about it.
So I created the software. And it took me a long time, as I said. And it was called Phi Music, and it was based around this notion of Phi, which I thought was just a cool concept. And I got a call. And it was somebody representing Dan, one of the people that interrogated us, I guess, and wanted to set up a meeting at the university, UNC Asheville, to talk to me. It wasn't with me, he wanted to talk to me. And we got in the lab, and I recognized one of the women that came with him because she had told me that she'd been abducted by aliens. And there was a person with me who told us that. She's sitting out there somewhere. Anyway, and she started crying. When I walked in, she just burst into tears. And Dan said, you know, you cannot let anybody have access to your software. You just can't do it. It'll be the end of mankind as we know it. And I said, too late. That's all I have to say. Are there any other questions?
Yeah. So, yeah. Yes.
As far as like the periodic table, have you tried to play out melodies that relate to certain compounds?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like, I would be interested.
It's in the works.
Dental amalgam, which is mercury, copper, tin.
It can be done.
Silver, and what that would sound like.
Water.
Yes.
Absolutely. It can absolutely be done.
And in the spirit of that is why a lot of times I'm searching out the sacred geometry people, and there's an artist, Walter Russell, a scientist, and he has this this DNA type of spiral that he puts he says the elements are doing like that, they're spiraling, and every element has a polar opposite. And so I felt like he was giving us a theory, a rule book, some kind of way to do what you're talking about, in some kind of way that's letting us picture how nature has it laid out. So he showed the periodic table, and it wasn't just like how we see it. It was like it was in a the DNA spiral, and all the elements had an opposite pole. See what I'm saying? And I was like, there's a music theory book right there. You know? So we're in the spirit of your question, yes.
And I have some, I do sound installations, and so I have some pieces that are based around that notion, as well as one that's called multiverse, and it has to do with all the trailing numbers on irrational numbers like pi, and that's gonna be a good one. And it's underway. It should be done in the next month, and I haven't figured out where it's going to go. Hopefully somewhere in the state, my last piece was at the North Carolina Museum of Art, which would be nice. They have a big open area. I installed a piece before. So this is I don't know if you can hear it, but that's a single note. If you can tell it, it's really two pitches close together. Can you tell it? Are they panned left, right? Robbie? Are those panned left, right? Okay. And so one sound is, the frequency is 7 hertz different than the other. And the brain, if you have headphones on, you'll get a slight effect, will start resonating predominantly at 7 hertz, which is associated with the theta range, which is associated with meditative state. And so this is what I had going on with Bob's piece, using earth harmonics. Actually, I can put this on a different setting. And I can actually show you more. Put on what's called that's 7 hertz, but I can also play other notes also at 7 hertz. I don't know if you can feel the vibrations, but they change.
Yeah, feel that one.
And
There's
those
the
two notes,
rub.
the 4 notes each are, because it's 2 for each key, are rubbing against each other, and all of them are rubbing. And so
there's
it's
the
associated with different, we know for sure that it affects brain waves, and the fact that both hemispheres resonate in sync, and that it changes brain state, which I thought was cool. So I added that into the software because I wanted to. I can do whatever I want. And so that's what I did, I know.
Yeah.
So we're here, we could play, you want to play some rhythms before we
Yeah, just to wind out, to get just a little bit, we're gonna do
play
a
the
thing
rhythms.
where the rhythms don't come back around every 4, don't come around every 3. The rhythms kind of keep going in this irrational dance. And nature likes to work irrationally like that. And to give an example of it, Dr. Kirby just has a thing. We like to do this as an audience participation before you leave. And
maybe we'll do 2.
he's gonna have 3 different rhythms. What we're gonna do is everyone, whatever your rhythm is, you're gonna lock onto that particular man. You're just gonna lock onto that, and the other ones are gonna go by. But you just lock onto the one that's yours.
So I created 5 rhythms. I created software that will also generate rhythms, polytempos, that can be in intervals of phi or pi or whatever.
Beats, different kind of beats.
And so they're polytempos. So this is 60 beats.
Take it over here.
Yeah.
All right.
And then this is another. We can just maybe half and half, and Roy can do the third.
Right.
So you saw
Whatever
you guys
that is over
Come with
here,
that.
we're gonna be here.
And you can use your key change, you can use your head, which mine is very resonant.
We're just gonna get in this groove, and we're gonna hear beats go against us. So we're just gonna groove here, and we're gonna Doc, you'll take the middle row if you hit in the middle, and then the right row.
What's middle?
Just 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way back. First 2.
2 all the way back on the aisle.
Over here, you
all the way
guys
back.
are just locking onto this.
And then you go. All right, so
Soundtrack of the future.
this is your.
Don't let this throw you. Just
You have to try to be together. All you guys are on the same team, all the way back. Try to lock it down. Just, yeah, these 2. And then
nice and loud, so we can hear them play against it.
so let's see.
Put it under a mic.
Well, you could, but you know what? I'm gonna give us. You're gonna get up.
Just watch me. I'll
You're
put
gonna have
that
these guys.
Alright.
And
give
let
them
them see the
the-
light. Let them see the light. I'm gonna turn the brainwave so I can get relaxed.
I really appreciate you guys being here for Opus 1. The first time out with this is going to keep growing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Kirby. Thank you, everybody, for the listening room. Our sound people, the people at the merch table helping out. My friend Sion is back there. And I look forward to coming back with live streams now so you can hear this journey unfold. And for you all that are helping me to test these platforms, I wanted everybody to make sure you leave your number and your email in case something is wrong so that we can stay in touch. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you.
And if you're interested in more of this, I'm going to be posting some information on my Facebook. So I'm Wayne Joseph Kirby. If you want to check it out, I'll be posting as the stuff bubbles up.
Yes. All right, take care. I know I got some friends out there. I'll be out there just hanging out if people want anything signed or anything like that. Thank you so much.